Hello, everybody, and welcome to our new Cool Kids live stream. Today, it's going to be a fun one. So, we are here to talk about one of the most popular kids networks of all time, Nickelodeon. And the reason we decided to do it at this time is this marks the 45th anniversary of Nickelodeon. I mean, I know technically speaking, it started in 1977 under the name Pinwheel, but it was rebranded as Nickelodeon in April of 1979. So I'm counting it. And before we go ahead and start talking about, let me just address the obvious elephant in the room out of the way, because if I don't address it now, either somebody in the comments is going to talk about it, or one of these assholes will bring it up. And that is in regards to the bad shit that's happened in Nickelodeon. Especially if you've watched the Quiet on Set documentary. However, we're going to hold off on that because, number one, that deserves its own stream. And two, I want to have fun with this one. I don't want to be depressed by the end of the stream. So that's why tomorrow, if you want to see a serious discussion and hear all the bad shit that happened with down in Nickelodeon, stay tuned tomorrow. Stay tuned tomorrow night, where we'll be talking about it. But tonight, let's not talk about that right now. Let's have fun. So, anyway, Nickelodeon. Let me tell you about Nickelodeon for me. Nickelodeon. If you watch the Cartoon Network stream, you know that I honestly didn't grow up with Cartoon Network until I was like 8 or 9 years old, maybe 10, like 8 or 9 years old. So I came into Cartoon Network late. However, Nickelodeon was always there for me. I was born in 1988, so I was born in the late 80s, so I was pretty much raised as a 90s kid, and Nickelodeon was always there for me. So I definitely have so many nostalgic moments. Hell, in fact, me and my fiance, we were actually binging on one of the Nicktoons that we'll discuss in a little bit. But anyway, hello, movie and cartoon fan. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And are you gentlemen ready? Let's go ahead and start talking about Nicktoons. Oh shit! No. Damn it! I forgot to close this out. There we go. All right, so Nicktoons, and this includes not just This includes all kinds of Nickelodeon cartoons. This is not just Nicktoons, but this also includes non-Nicktoons. This includes ones that were pretty much aired on other networks and then re-aired on Nickelodeon. I know most of you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but in the 90s, there was like other cartoons that existed before Nicktoons. But some of my favorites obviously include, of course, you got one of the OGs, Rugrats. You got Ren and Stimpy. You got I remember Our Real Monsters was another awesome one. I remember Cat Dog, early SpongeBob, and let's not forget the greatest Nickelodeon show ever. Don't at me. Hey Arnold. Yes. I remember growing up a lot with these kinds of shows. I remember what. Did you want to say something, Zach? Zach? Did you want to say something? You're flipping me off. Okay, whatever. Anyway.
I was playing.
Yeah, I was playing. All right. But anyway, there was, of course, there were those. There was, I think, of course, there was. I remember watching maybe a tad bit of Jimmy Neutron, but that was like right when I was getting at the phase where I was slowly getting out. And of course, there were, like I said, there were some ones that were not Nicktoons exclusive, such as Tiny Toon Adventures. I remember watching the 80s Beetlejuice on Nickelodeon. I remember watching the Inspector Gadget, So yeah, that was on Nickelodeon. It was so, and of course there was like the Looney Tunes, and there was Rocky and Bullwinkle kind of thing. So I know most of you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Most of you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, and wait, movie cartoon fan just brought up. Yes, Rocko's Modern Life. All right, go on, Zach.
Or I mean, call me Zach.
Devin. Shit, Devin.
Seriously, I was actually kind of shocked to learn that Looney Tunes and Animaniacs and Beetlejuice, Warner Brothers like properties, aired on Nickelodeon.
They did.
Huh.
This was, keep in mind, this is when they didn't have a whole lot of Nicktoons at the time. This was, like I said, this was the 90s. So I've been rambling about this. John, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm writing down all the ones because I'm like, there's a fucking lot. I was unprepared. I thought we were doing this tomorrow. Anyway, so there's like a ton. So me and Devin are kind of more in the later 90s, early 2000s stuff. When Rob was like kind of going up like middle school, high school type of thing. So obviously I would watch SpongeBob. Yes. Yes, we are aware of that. So I watched SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, early Fairly Odd Parents was like great stuff. Danny Phantom was a favorite of mine. Loved it. I know Butch Hartman's an asshole, but I will say all of his shows rocked. Even Tough Puppy. I liked Tough Puppy. That was a good show. But like that's just the power of Jerry Trainer. Jerry Trainer is a godsend, and we love him, and we cherish our favorite Nickelodeon wholesome boy. But I also watched a lot of reruns of older stuff that was kind of like before my time, like Rocko's Modern Life. You mentioned Real Monsters and Hey Arnold, Angry Beavers. I kind of caught the tail end of Rugrats when I was little. But I would still catch reruns. Cat Dog was another one. Loved Cat Dog. My parents forbade me from watching it, so I just watched it more. Same with SpongeBob. Wild Thornberries was one. I don't remember a ton, but I remember my sisters liking it, so I think I caught some episodes here and there. Rocket Power was another one. I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. I'm like, man, I wish I was a skateboarder. That would be so cool.
I was gonna say
what?
Like Jay was gonna ask something. So
yeah, Jay, what's up?
John mentioned it, but anybody here, by a show of hands, whose parents forbade them from watching SpongeBob because they feared you would turn out stupid?
Not stupid. They just thought it was annoying.
Okay, they didn't think I was going to be stupid, but they didn't want me to be influenced by SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. They didn't think I was going to be stupid. They just didn't want me to watch SpongeBob.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let John continue.
Yeah, and as told by Ginger,
I watched SpongeBob a lot as a kid. I was just fine.
Well, let's not get crazy here, Zach. I'm just kidding. But yeah, as told by Ginger was another one that my parents hated. Like she forbade us from watching. She probably saw one scene that was talking about puberty or something. She thought it was oh, the children. So she was probably I don't know. My mom was weird, but yeah, as told by Ginger that was mainly my sister's watch, so I had to watch it type of thing. But I didn't hate it. I thought it was a good show. Cat Scratch was another one that I liked. It was one of those shows that was dumb, but I liked it. Obviously, before Jay jizzes his pants, of course we have to mention Avatar: The Last Airbender, one of the greatest Nickelodeon shows of all time. A big favorite of mine, one of my favorite shows as a kid. I kind of forgot it until I was going through the programs and I saw it. Chalk Zone. Chalk Zone was I fucking loved Chalk Zone. I would like play with chalk because of Chalk Zone. I fucking adored Chalk Zone. That was definitely one of my favorites. Yes, Devin.
Rudy's got the chalk.
Yes. But yeah, what's another one? I do remember watching like some of the lesser stuff. Well, not lesser stuff, but like El Tigre or Back at the Barnyard, Mighty Bee, Penguins of Madagascar, stuff that was like kind of past the prime of Nickelodeon. It wasn't bad; they weren't as good as like prime Nickelodeon. But My Life as a Teenage Robot was great. All Grown Up was great. Invader Zim, I caught a few episodes of, but I never fully watched. But yeah, I watched Tough Puppy, and then by that point, I was kind of, I do hate to admit it, I did watch a couple episodes of Fanboy and Chum Chum, and I apologize to myself and to everyone here for mentioning Fanboy and Chum Chum. But because that was an awful show. Fun fact about Fanboy and Chum Chum: did you know that Nickelodeon actually had the choice to air one of two shows, Adventure Time, or pick up two shows, Adventure Time or Fanboy and Chum Chum? They passed over Adventure Time to do Fanboy and Chum Chum. Way to go, Nickelodeon.
Probably for the best.
Oh, and Legend of Korra, but less said about Legend of Korra, the better. So those are like some of the Nicktoons that I watch. I probably missed a few, but I'm sure Devin will mention stuff.
Yeah.
But like those are like the hot like stuff. Like SpongeBob was a big one. Fairly Odd Parents was a big one. Jimmy Neutron was a big one. Danny Phantom was a big one. Chalk Zone was a big one. I remember Cat Dog being a big one. Rugrats was a big one.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid watching like Rocco, Ariel Monsters,
Yes.
Hey Arnold, Angry Beaver, Wild Thornberries. Cat Dog was a big one, but As Told by Ginger was like But oh god, Chalk Zone was underrated. Because sorry, Rob, just one more thing. SpongeBob is like a big one. Fairly Odd Parents is a big one. Danny Phantom, big one. Chalk Zone is not mentioned as much, and Chalk Zone was fucking Kino. That shit was fucking amazing. That was such a great fucking show. I actually drew on my walls with chalk because of Chalk Zone. Like I had these pillars in my basement. I mean, I still do, but there are these pillars. So I would draw like chalk circles on one side and the other, and I would pretend to go into Chalk World. I remember that so much, and the chalk never fully washed off. So we just had like this chalk on there until my parents repainted the basement. But yeah, oh my god.
Yeah.
That unlocked something. Chalk Zone, man, that was such a fucking amazing show. Anyway, I'm talking too much. I apologize.
There was before we get to Devin, you mentioned Rocco's Modern Life, John. Oh baby, oh baby, oh baby.
Miss Big Head? Can we have one room for the night? All night? Okay.
You kind of wonder how they were able to get away with shit like that.
Because back then, kid shows had balls.
Yeah,
yes,
pretty much.
Not so much now.
Devin, my friend.
So I know I always preach about like you growing up with the Cartoon Network. I grew up with my fair share of Nickelodeon, and I want to bring up classic SpongeBob. So that show, Blue's Clues. I don't know. I'm probably mentioning that a little too early. It's Scooby Doo. Those were, and if Scooby Doo is not Nickelodeon, those three I had like the most VHS tapes of anything. I had so many of the SpongeBob VHS tapes. It's a shame I lost some of them. But when it comes to other ones, I watched Rugrats, of course. I watched a little bit of Ren and Stimpy. I didn't watch Rocco's Modern Life. I didn't watch Real Monsters. No matter how hard I tried, I could not get into Doug. I thought Doug was boring. Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold is fucking awesome. That's probably my favorite Nicktoon along with classic SpongeBob, just because that's a show I didn't really fully appreciate until I was an adult. I watched a little bit of Angry Beavers. Cat Dog was great. The Wild Thorn Bears was great. I mean, come on. It's got Tim Curry and it's got Flea and Danielle Harris. Come on. I thought Rocket Power was okay. I liked That Soul by Ginger. Fairly Odd Parents was awesome. Invader Zim was awesome. Fucking Chalk Zone, man. I mean, after all, Rudy's got the chalk. Am I right? I loved Jimmy Neutron. I remember I liked All Grown Up. I loved My Life as a Teenage Robot. Danny Phantom was great. Of course, can't go wrong with Avatar: The Last Airbender. I remember watching a little bit of Cat Scratch. I don't remember very well, but I remember thinking it was pretty funny. I don't remember very much of The X's. That was like a short-lived show. I remembered a little bit of El Tigre. Back at the Barnyard, didn't like that show. I've never watched or heard of The Mighty Bee. I know Angela Anaconda was on Nickelodeon, and just no. Just no. Fanboy Chum Chum, no. Planet Sheen, hell no. And I remember watching a little bit of the later ones with my sister. Sanjay and Craig, bleh. Breadwinners, fuck that shit. And I watched a little bit of The Loud House. Just a couple episodes. Thought they were funny. But yeah, those were some shows I've seen. Zachariah?
All right. Unlike most of the people here, I did not mainly grow up with Nickelodeon. Now, when I say that SpongeBob is the only one I'm familiar with, that's not to say that I haven't seen any other Nick shows. I've seen a bit of Rugrats. I've seen a fair bit of Fairly Odd Parents. Thank my cousin Lexi for that. She was obsessed with it. Did not like that show, I will say, because I just thought the formula was repetitive and the main character was unlikable, even though he was voiced by the goddess of voice acting, Tara Strong. Did not get into it. But my main thing with Nickelodeon was SpongeBob. I loved SpongeBob as a kid. It's the only thing that I would mainly want to tune into Nickelodeon for. So, yeah. And like everyone, I just like season 1 to 3, and the movie. I'll give it to season 4 also because it had some good episodes like Fear of a Krabby Patty. That was a good episode. So I like season 4 just fine, even though it's not great like the first 3 seasons. And I hate what SpongeBob has turned into. I hate the spin-offs. I am not a big fan of the third film. The second one's good. But, yeah, as you can tell, I don't have much to say because I haven't seen a lot of Nickelodeon stuff. I am trying to change that, though. I am getting into freaking Wild Thornberry, so that show's really good, at least from what I'm seeing of it so far. I am digging the hell out of it. Fuck Doug. Do not ever say that show again. No.
Come on, we want to.
No.
We want to see
That
a Doug
didn't
rant
happen.
from Zach. Come on. Let's
No.
go. Doug Grant. Do it.
It was
Zach.
boring. The characters were pathetic. The theme song is pathetic. Here's the thing. And here's the thing. The animation doesn't look done, for one thing. It doesn't look done in the slightest. And here's the thing. It's just a poor man's Hey Arnold. There, I said it. What's happening?
Well, Zach, you do realize that Doug came out before Hey Arnold, right?
Yeah, that was like the first 3, like one of like the
the first
three.
the first 3 Nicktoons were Rugrats, Ren Stimpy, and Doug.
I've only
Doug came first.
I've only seen a few episodes of Hey Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
I know I know, but still, just comparing the two, Doug is a poor man's Hey Arnold. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I
Because
don't
here's
like
the
how
thing.
Gordy was a
I've
poor
only
man's
seen a
baby.
few episodes
That-
of Hey Arnold as well as the movie. It was years ago, but I have seen them. But still, infinitely better than Doug. So yeah, it's a poor man's Hey. It's a poor man's Hey Arnold. Excuse me.
Yeah, but
But yeah,
but you said you
going
have
back,
started
going back
watching.
into some good shit though. The greatest thing I think Nickelodeon has ever made
Alright.
is the SpongeBob movie.
Well, hold on.
Love
Wait,
this
wait, wait,
movie.
wait.
It's one of my favorite
Well,
films. Period. It's one of my favorite animated movies. Period. And
Zach,
it's where SpongeBob
Zach.
should have ended.
Let me talk. Okay, Zach. I was gonna say don't jump the gun too early because we are gonna be talking about movies later. So, all right. Just letting you know, okay? But you said you have seen just a little bit of Hey Arnold. So, okay. Yeah, because I know me and my fiance, I know we've been binging on that for the past few weeks. So, but anyway, Jay.
You son of a bitch. Damn you, John. You son of a bitch. All right. So I'm gonna be honest here. As you can see, I am the youngest here. So I was not born in the 90s or the 80s. And I would say that my era, so what I grew up on was mainly Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, and who's typing?
Zach. Zach, quit the typing. All right. There we go.
So yeah, I grew up. So the most I grew up on is Disney Channel. That was the first. I watched Disney Channel the most. I don't know if we're ever going to do that, but the second channel that I grew up on was Nickelodeon, and mainly the live action shows, which I assume we're probably going to talk about later. So I won't talk about that stuff. But the cartoons, I grew up on some of the cartoons. I'm ashamed to admit this, but I grew up watching Dora. Diego, go, Wow Wow Wubsy, Ni Hao Kai Lan, the Backyardigans, what else? What other cartoons did I grow up on? The Wonder Pets. I used to love the Wonder Pets. But I unfortunately didn't grow up watching SpongeBob. I only know SpongeBob because of the memes, which they are funny out of context. I didn't grow up watching Hey Arnold. I didn't grow up watching the Rugrats. I didn't grow up watching, Cat and Dog. I didn't grow up watching those. Which is, I mean, yes, I know. I like I said, I grew up more on the live action shows, but I did watch a little bit of Jimmy Neutron. I did watch a little bit of Fairy Odd Parents. Loved Fairy Odd Parents. A little bit of Danny Phantom. Let me see because I have the list here. I watched a little bit. Now, some of the newer stuff. I love the Teenage Mutant. I love the TMNT reboot in 2012. I think that might be my favorite iteration of the Turtles, other than TMNT Y2 for Kids. Is that for kid? WB for Kids. Is that the channel that had the 2003 Ninja Turtles?
Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, because I
yeah,
know what I know what you're talking about, Zach or Jay.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, but the newer shit, like, like you said, Breadwinners, trash. Sanjay and Craig, trash. Loud House, trash. Planet Sheen, trash. Trash. Fanboy shoved. Oh my god, I haven't heard that name in forever, and it almost like triggered something in me. But the one Nickelodeon show that I grew up on, you all knew it was coming. Y'all saw it coming. Avatar: The Last Airbender, the greatest Nickelodeon cartoon of all time. In my opinion, I think it's the greatest Nickelodeon cartoon ever. The storytelling in that... You motherfucker, John. The storytelling in the show, brilliant. The action, amazing. The animation, magnificent. Like from beginning to end, it is told beautifully. The fact that a kid show was able to be daring and it was able to be mature for its audience, it didn't treat its audience like, less than. It didn't treat its audience dumb. It was great storytelling. Zuko, Aang, Katara, Toph, Sokka, like those are household names of Nickelodeon, for at least the cartoon wise. And it's unfortunate that Nickelodeon has never been able to replicate this magic ever again, in my opinion, when it comes to that, especially when it comes to the Avatar. Because Legend of Korra, you suck. You suck. You are the worst Avatar in Avatar history. Kyoshi is better than you. Aang is better than you. Roku is better than you. You suck. Every character in Korra besides Tenzin and and Asami is trash. Don't even get me started with Bolin and fucking Mako. Those two are oh Jesus. Bolin is poor man Sokka and everyone fucking knows it. But yeah, those were basically the cartoons that I grew up on with Nickelodeon. I will offer more when we talk about live action if I'm here still, but yeah, that's pretty much all I grew up on, and I'm sorry I don't have enough. I'm the youngest of you guys, and I unfortunately never were able to witness like the golden age of Nickelodeon cartoons. But I'm done.
Okay. Ben?
Hey, yeah, Nickelodeon, like many of you, like some of you, has been a staple of my childhood that I grew up watching. So especially some of the cartoons, like the earlier ones, Rugrats, Hey Arnold, Ren Stimpy, Kablam, and what else?
Shit, I forgot about Kablam. Damn.
Yeah, Action League Now.
Action League Now, yes. The Flesh, he's super strong and super naked.
And Cat Dog, kinda. It still remains an enigma to me. And then there's early SpongeBob. And then as I grew up, I got curious, and I saw how when it grew more, took more chances, like with Danny Phantom, Fairly Odd Parents. It got more interesting. So, but then when the 2010s came around, most of it was trash. The teenage, like you said, Jay, the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that was awesome. And I skipped myself. Yeah, like I said, early 2000s there was Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, Jimmy Neutron, My Life as a Teenage Robot, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's just been a strong staple of what I watched growing up.
All right, then. I have no idea where Zach went, so do you want to go next, Austin?
Sure. Now, you guys are talking about your SpongeBobs, and you guys are talking about your Avatar, The Last Airbender, but hear me out. Have you guys ever heard of Doug? I'm kidding.
What?
So what?
Doug.
He said Doug, Ben.
Oh.
No, but the 2000s was like a time to be alive. I mean, shit. I mean, if you were born post 2000s, you were screwed. Because, good God, Fanboy and Chump. I had to sit through Fanboy and Chump Chump. That shit was horrible. Oh, God. Sanjay and Craig. Then they had the Breadwinners, where they were green ducks farting. Huh? And then, of course, the Loud House. We don't talk about the Loud House. No, thank you, sir. But listen, the mid 2000s were goated. SpongeBob is the obvious one, right? Peak SpongeBob.
I still reference to this day some of the funniest ever. Like, there's one particular episode that's so I just remember it so vividly. It's the episode where Mr. Krabs really wanted to date Mrs. Puff, and he started making all these like really weird noises. Goes, Fairly Odd Parents. I mean, come on. Peak Fairly Odd Parents was so good. Butch Hartman, I agree, is a piece of shit. I don't like him, but that and Danny Phantom were goated. At least when Fairly Odd Parents was good. Wishology and the Channel Chasers, peak. Absolute peak. Jimmy Neutron, we got to pray to our Lord and Savior Hugh Neutron and Carl Weezer, because they are the omnipotent beings of our existence. And then, of course, we got Avatar: The Last Airbender. Shame to what they did to my boy. Shame what they did. R.I.P. R.I.P. to the Avatar franchise. Because after Legends of Korra and the live action show and the live action movie, it's never gonna be the same again.
We're getting the animated movie though, so
that's something.
Yeah, the animated movie might be good.
Possibly.
One can only hope.
But then, you guys, Ben and Jay mentioned it, the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Probably, if not the best animated show adaptation of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ever. The most consistent, close to the comic books. So good. Dark, what I want, and then, of course, and you know what? Actually, movie cartoon fan just unlocked a very key memory here. Kung Fu Panda, Legends of Awesomeness. Look, it wasn't great. I'll be honest. It was not great. But it was okay. I thought it was all right. Also, Penguins of Madagascar. Look, we could agree to disagree on this, right? But Rico was my man. Of course, you got listen, the show was good. It was fine. I liked it. But oh man, even Tough Puppy. Like, Tough Puppy really wasn't that bad as a show either. Like, it was, for what it was pretty creative. I'm not saying it's like the best cartoon ever, but yeah.
Jerry Trainer single-handedly carried that fucking show.
He did.
That's just facts.
No, he
That's
did.
just facts at this point. Like, it was like mediocre Butch Hartman at that point. He was kind of on his way out the door. But like, Jerry Trainer is just that fucking talented, and he's just such a fucking goat that he just carried that show single-handedly.
Anybody ever watch Invader Zim? I feel like that's a cartoon that always gets forgotten.
No, I'm surprised that Devin didn't bring that up, since he's the goth nerd out of all of us. So I'm surprised.
I watched some of Invader Zim. Yeah,
I watched maybe a couple episodes, but I couldn't get into it. If my buddy Tim was here, he would be going on and on. He adores Invader Zim. It's like one of his favorite shows of all time. So unfortunately, none of us can really talk about it because none of us really watched it. It seems like, but sorry,
wait, I watched a little bit of Invader Zim. So,
but it wasn't like mentioned with like, oh my god, we mentioned, oh my god, SpongeBob, oh my god, Fairly Odd Parents. So it didn't get mentioned with the pantheon of great shows. So.
Yeah, and honestly, I know you guys brought up like Sanjay and Craig, Fanboy and Chum Chum. I'm so glad that I was no longer into Nickelodeon by that point.
That was when Nickelodeon went from being like a show, like a channel for like preteens, teenagers, and like young adults, to it just basically being for babies.
Yeah,
that's literally when Nickelodeon because I've noticed a trend when we started getting Alvin and the fucking Chipmunks cartoons.
I remember when they used to air the '80s Alvin and the Chipmunks.
So hang on, I'm looking at the cartoon shows that are, the Nicktoons that are currently airing. There's 7 shows. Almost half of them are just SpongeBob shows. You have the original SpongeBob show. You have the Patrick Star show, which must be a bullet to the head in cartoon form, and then the Camp Curl show, which is hot garbage.
Apparently, the people said that the Patrick spinoff is actually good. Even then, it's really sad that the creator of SpongeBob dies, and of course we have to milk a goddamn creator's last wish to not fucking milk a franchise.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
But I have a question for Rob though. I have a question for Rob because he brought. Do you want to? I mean, because you watch Nicktoons, like the channel Nicktoons.
The channel.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Do you
I did.
do you want just for the sake of the fact that it's on the channel? Do you want to count Dragon Ball? Because they used to play Dragon Ball on Nicktoons a lot.
Yeah, they did Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Yeah,
I
Dragon Ball
don't. I
Z
don't
Kai.
remember. I always remember Dragon Ball being on Toonami. I don't remember it being on Nickelodeon.
In the 2010s, they used to play Dragon Ball GT and Z Kai on Nicktoons.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The
Are we?
Huh?
I was gonna say, are we gonna save like the Nick Jr. stuff for like miscellaneous?
I was gonna add that for the blocks because I was gonna say like any Nick
Okay,
Jr.
fair.
stuff was good. Yeah, because there's multiple like blocks and all we could talk about. So, but we'll
Fair.
save that. Are we ready? Is there anything else we want to talk about before we move on?
No.
I'm just gonna bring up moving cartoon fans comment.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
I don't really.
I remember it being on Cartoon Network.
I remember Yu-Gi-Oh being on WB Kids.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I don't remember.
A lot of kids WB stuff came over to Cartoon Network.
That's yeah, exactly. That's
Actually, Yu-Gi-Oh used to be on the CW Kids. Remember when CW Kids had its own
oh
channel?
yeah. All right then. So I guess are we ready to move on? Is there anyone else got any? Maybe if there's another cartoon that comes to my mind, I'll probably bring it up. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and talk about live action sitcoms. So, just for clarification, let's avoid talking about the shit happening. So we'll save that for another time. Again, I want this to be a fun stream. But anyway, when it comes to live action shows, there's a lot that I remember watching. In fact, although I think most of you probably won't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, but we'll see. I remember watching Clarissa Explains It All. I remember watching The Adventures of Pete and Pete. There was Salute Your Shorts was funny. Salute Your Shorts, that was a funny one. There was whatever. There was All That. All That was hilarious. I don't know if anyone else here has watched it. I know like some of my favorite skits. I know the loud, obnoxious librarian trying to tell people to be quiet, and she's doing these loud, obnoxious things. Super Dude, like Superman, but lactose intolerant. Let's see here. Are you? I also remember watching. Well, that's not technically a sitcom. It's not technically a sitcom. The more I think about it, but fuck it, I'll throw it in anyway. Are You Afraid of the Dark? That was a good one. I remember watching that one. And I do remember watching some of the Amanda Show and a little bit of Drake and Josh, but that was about it. And then that was about it. So maybe if there's something else that comes to my mind, I'll bring it up. So.
Okay. Yeah. I as I said, I mainly watched like the stuff that was like the mainly the Dan Schneider era, which was I watched a lot of Drake and Josh. I watched a lot of iCarly. Drake and Josh was that was a great fucking show. Love that show so much. I quote it like to this day. iCarly was a show that like I didn't want to admit I watched because I'm like, oh, it's for girls because it stars a girl, so I didn't want to admit that I like watched that. Ned's Declassified is probably my favorite out of all of them. Ned's Declassified was such an amazing show. And it wasn't by Dan Schneider because there was a line in one of the episodes where a middle schooler asks if another middle schooler was hot, and he says, I can't answer that because I'm 40. So we know it wasn't Schneider. So there you go. But yeah, that was that was such a fucking great. There was like every episode was just like brilliant from that show. I just wish like almost it lasted longer in a way, but Yeah, Nancy Classified. I watched like a couple. I remember like vaguely watching a couple episodes of like Unfabulous. Again, that was like one of those shows where it's like, oh, it's a girly show, so I'm not gonna watch it. So I watched maybe a couple episodes. I definitely watched a bunch of Zoe 101. That was a good show. I watched a couple episodes of True Jackson VP. Not gonna lie, that was a pretty decent show. The Troop was one of my favorites. I fucking love The Troop. That was an underrated fucking show. Damn, that was just such a cool show where it was like the idea of high schoolers are like more creative and imaginative, and they have enough like power in themselves that they can fight aliens, but adults cannot because adults are secretly pussies. That's just such a great concept for a fucking show. I love that. That was an awesome show. Victorious was a good one. I loved Victorious, even though a lot of the characters were either toxic and or problematic, but that's beside the point.
Except
And
for
then Big Time Rush was a good one. Love that show. That was a great fucking show. Like I don't like boy bands, but this is just funny. Like Rock was hilarious. I love that character. He was so funny. But that was kind of at the time where I kind of stopped watching. Like obviously I watched like the main like big 2000. I did watch a couple episodes of Romeo. I remember watching that show. Remember Little Romeo? Fun times. All right, fuck you, man. But yeah, so I'm watching a lot of the big like 2000 shows. And here's one that's technically live action. I mean, it's not a cartoon, but it's not live action. Devin is gonna know what I'm fucking talking about. Good old Mr. Meaty. That fucking enigma of a fucking show. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know if that counts as live action though, because it was puppets, but that was a fucking acid trip as a show. I cannot understand imagine how much shit they fucking got away with on that show.
The tapeworm episode.
Jesus. It was one of those shows where it was like a car wreck where I was like a kid. I was like scared of it, but I wanted to watch it anyway. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I remember playing a lot of the Flash games, like Disney, Cartoon Network, and Nickelodeon. The Flash games on each of their websites were fire. Like, honestly.
Shouldn't we say that for like miscellaneous?
But anyway, I just wanted a quick mention.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's not talk about that yet.
I know,
We'll say that
I know.
first.
But I just wanted a quick mention because Mr. Meaty, I have a lot to say about the Mr. Meaty games. But Mr. Meaty, fucking bonkers ass fucking show. I'm including it here because I'm literally looking at the list right now because it has listed live action. So I'm listing it here. So don't yell at me, yell at the Nickelodeon Wikipedia page. But yeah.
No, I count that as live action.
Kino shows again around the time like early 2010s is when I stopped watching. I maybe caught a couple episodes of Sam and Cat and the Haunted Hathaways, but like by that time I was pretty much out the door. And then I don't even recognize any of these other shows. Like I've never even heard of fucking half this shit. The only one I've heard of here was the god awful Fairly Odd Parents live action show. Remember that shit? I'm not gonna make you forget because if I have to remember it, everybody here has to fucking remember that shit. Fuck you, Nickelodeon, for making that garbage. Anyway, Devin, you continue before I have an aneurysm.
I might not have too much to say because, believe it or not, I mainly watched Nickelodeon for the cartoons. But the live action shows I do remember watching. I remember watching a little bit of The Amanda Show. And Zoe 101. I watched a little bit of Drake and Josh. Nancy Classified. I remember watching a little bit of Sam and Cat with my sister. And my first thought was, my God. Ariana Grande's voice makes my fucking ears bleed. But I didn't watch all that. I didn't watch Kenan and Kel. Gonna be a shocker coming from the horror guy, but I've never seen Are You Afraid of the Dark? I didn't watch iCarly. I didn't watch Victorious. Mr. Meaty, yeah, I remember Mr. Meaty. And I remember actually enjoying it when I was little. But then again, I like those weird Steve Odekirk thumb movies.
Wait,
So-
what show is this again?
Mr. Meaty.
Okay.
Whew.
I can't Phantom Zone you because I haven't seen it. So, well,
Again.
outside that image you guys showed me.
The fucking tapeworm episode, man.
What did you? Fun fact for anyone watching: these two, like when they told me about Mr. Meaty, I had never even heard of it, and then these two showed me the image of the tapeworm. Fuck you both.
Yeah, but that's a knack for.
I didn't show you that. He showed you that. Don't lump me in with him. I just said I watched the show. Don't lump me in with him.
Wait, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is it? Before I look it up, how bad is it?
How would you? What's 1? What's 10? Is 10 bad or is 1 bad?
Is 10 bad? Like, is it on the same tier as the penis monster from Beau Was Afraid?
Oh, nothing is as bad as that.
No.
Okay. If 1 is like Happy Lucky Memories and 10 is Penis Monster, I would say it's like maybe like a 5, maybe a 4,
Yeah.
4 or 5.
I'd say that.
I think 5, maybe 4.5.
Yeah.
It's not
I'm
too
looking
bad.
it up right now.
By the way, another there's a couple more live action shows I just thought of that I probably forgot to mention. Of course, I watched Kenan and Kel, and then there's another one I don't think anyone's going to know what I'm talking about. I do remember watching a little bit of Wienerville. I know nobody knows what the fuck that
I have
about.
no idea what that is,
Gay
but
porno?
I'm
No.
I'm looking at the list of shows and that's on there, so I see it, but I have no idea what it is.
Another one I was gonna bring up when you guys said live action Fairly Odd Parents. I thought you were talking about those shitty live action movies with Drake Bell. Those
Nope.
were terrible.
I remember I was so excited for those. I was like so fucking excited, and I'm like, oh, these are gonna be the greatest things ever. And then I watched it, I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Didn't Bro
Really not.
fall into a volcano and then he turned into that animated version of
Hey, screw you. I like
Timmy?
Drake Bell movies. The first one was
Right,
pretty good.
One like you fell into a volcano.
What? I have no
But
idea what you're talking about.
but yeah, those are. I don't have too much history with the live action stuff.
Okay. Zach, do you have anything for the live action? Hello?
Oh, I was just saying, screw you. I like the Drake Bell movies, but I've seen a bit of iCarly and Drake and Josh, but that's about it.
Okay. Jay?
Because this is my era. This is my era of Nickelodeon. So I honestly, I don't know which one to decide if I've watched more live action Nickelodeon shows or more live action Disney Channel shows. I think it's a tie because Nickelodeon live action shows, I watched like almost every single live action show they made during the 2000s and 2010s. Now with the 90s, let's start out with the 90s. Because I remember back in like Teen Nick, they would play All That and Kenan and Kel. I watched a little bit of All That, and I think my favorite segment was probably The Good Burger, which birthed, the Good Burger movie. But it also birthed one of the greatest duo shows of all time, Kenan and Kel. I think Kenan and Kel is very, very funny. Kenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell's chemistry, they bounce off each other it's like lightning in a bottle, which is ironic because a lot of Nickelodeon shows caught lightning in a bottle multiple times. I never watched the Amanda Show. I heard it was decent, but because of the Amanda Show, without the Amanda Show, we would have never have gotten Drake and Josh. Drake and Josh is probably my favorite live action Nickelodeon show. I think Drake and Josh also, their chemistry is amazing. I think there's so many moments from Drake and Josh that it's just hilarious to me. Like to this day, I don't understand how in 2024, the Treehouse episode couldn't be one of the funniest episodes in the show, and one of the funniest like bits ever. Like it's honestly shocking how it's still funny to this day. And or the South America joke, or like that was funny. South America, the Megan bits, like all of that. And then I watched Zoe 101, love Zoe 101. I watched Victorious, iCarly. iCarly is also amazing. I also watched the low budget ones like Fantabulous, Just Jordan, Little Romeo, Ned's The Classified School Survivor Guide is probably the most underrated live action show that they made, and it's actually a really good Scott Fellows show as well. Am I missing anything from the 2000s? Let me check.
The Troop, Big Time Rush.
Never watched The Troop.
Heathen.
Wait a minute. This is one no one knows. The Naked Band Brothers.
I remember watching
the
that
Naked
one.
Brothers Band.
I remember that one.
I used to watch the Naked Brothers Band a lot. Hugh Jackson VP, another great show. And now we head into the 2010s. Big Time Rush. I am not afraid to admit I love that show. And yes, it is a show about a boy band, but it's a cartoon. It's basically a live action cartoon. Super Ninjas, another show. I think I might be the only one that knows this show, Super Ninjas. It's a show about three teens who are basically ninja vigilantes, or vigilantes dressed up as ninjas. It ended on a cliffhanger, and to this day, it's really sad that it never got a season 3. Another show that I watched, Bucket and Skinner's Epic Adventures, How to Rock, Marvin. If anyone knows what Marvin is, it stars the dude playing Fred. If anyone knows what Fred, the dude with the high pitched voice.
I remember. I actually liked his videos.
Yeah. Sam and Cat, that show was garbage. Haunted Hathaways, used to watch Haunted Hathaways. The Thundermans, another low-budget show that I think is very, very underrated, and I am not afraid to admit that it was great. Every Which Way. It's basically a show about witches and wizards and, other powerful beings. Henry Danger. I honestly liked Henry Danger. Didn't mind Henry Danger. Nicky, Ricky, Dicky, and Dawn, another show I feel like I'm the only one that knows. Bella and the Bulldogs, Make It Pop, Talia in the Kitchen, Game Shakers. And I think after that was pretty much it as far as live action shows. But but obviously the quintessential era of the Nickelodeon was the Dan Schneider era. That man made a lot of great shows. Let's elephant in the room aside. No offense, John. I'm joking. I love you.
No, I make that joke. You can make that joke. It's fine. I don't give a fuck. I think it's funny.
But even though, yes, again, putting the elephant in the room aside, we have to thank Dan Schneider for blessing my childhood and probably other people's childhoods with his shows. They were amazing. They were funny at the time, and even though it definitely is some of it is definitely a little soured, it's still great, and I can't help but just, at least for that aspect, I can't help but be like, you know what? Thank you, Dan. Fuck you, but thank you.
Ben?
Hi. Yeah, I grew up with some of the live action nitcoms. Like there were some in the a few in the early 90s. Like I remember All That and some of Keenan and Kel. The special Two Heads Are Better Than None. That I definitely remember. And Cousin Skeeter. That I remember. And I grew up with a lot of the Dan Schneider eras, like the typical Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious, and sadly Sam and Cat. But those got worse for me as I grew up. And then there's Ned's Declassified. That show still holds up. man, is there anything else I'm missing? I think that covers it.
Hey Ben,
Yeah?
don't forget to talk about your favorite skit and all that. You
Oh, yeah.
can't.
Can't win. Oh yeah, I also find it funny how in the Amanda Show where a guy uses
okay.
a lifeline to order pizza.
All right,
I thought
Jay.
that was funny.
You mentioned movies, so what? I probably won't be here around that time, but movies. So is this like Nickelodeon live action original movies or
No,
Nickelodeon movies that released in theaters?
movies is gonna be its own separate category.
Yeah, but like what? Like, is it anything goes? Like anything that was made by Nickelodeon? Like
It's as long like we'll talk about the movies later because
I guess he's talking about
and-
TV or theater.
well,
Or
okay,
both.
okay. I guess if I guess you could probably include if it's TV, but I would say if it was released in theaters, then wait. If there was like a big Nickelodeon movie released in theaters, I would say save those for. That's gonna be a separate category, but
so, The Last Airbender is in that cat. Oh man. Luckily, I'm not going to be here for that because
Yeah, we'll
man,
put Fred the movie in that category.
okay.
Exactly.
Fred wasn't that bad. Okay, it wasn't that bad. John Cena was in those movies, man. We love John Cena.
I haven't seen the Fred show, so and I
Well,
don't really
talking about
give
the
and I
movie.
really don't. Well, I haven't seen any of the movies either, and I don't give a shit about seeing them. So
I've
I
only
can't. I'm not going to phantom zone someone when I haven't even seen it.
I've only seen the first Fred and the third one. I've never seen the sequel, like the second one, which is like I swear I thought I saw it. Like I for some reason I watched the Fred movies and I remember like liking it as a child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Austin.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with Jay here because like I mean, I grew up in an era where Nickelodeon was starting to more gravitate towards more of like the live action stuff and started to do away with the cartoons. Like I remember a time where like very freaking rarely was there like a cartoon on except for like SpongeBob, and even then that was bad. I didn't get a chance to see all that or the Amanda Show or Kenan and Kel. I watched a ton of Drake and Josh when but that was like really towards the end of like Drake and Josh where they were pretty much getting ready to axe that and start with iCarly and all that stuff. But Drake and Josh was really, really good. Like, I mean, from the intro and like some of the most iconic moments like of Nickelodeon, like of course it birthed the meme of Drake, where's the door hole? God, that was so good.
comedy gold.
I'm gonna say this one thing. I think the memes are funnier than the episode. I never liked that episode of Drake and Josh.
Drake,
I know.
where's the body of Christ? Where's the plutonium?
There in the cave. Go check.
But yeah, but like Drake and Josh was good. iCarly, like even though like it does not hold up now, I will say iCarly at the time I really liked. Victorious too. I remember like having like some of these memories I unlocked. Like I watched Victorious when like I would go to Ohio and like visit my grandmother. Like I watched Victorious. Like that was I liked it. Big Time Rush. Okay, I'll admit it. I like Drake and Josh. Gustavo, he's my guy. He'll always be my guy. Like Henry Danger was okay. Thundermans was okay. Like none of them, like they weren't bad. It was just kind of like like Game Shakers. I did not care for that Ricky Dicky bullshit. I don't know what the fuck that was, but that was bad. I literally just remember. Oh God, well, they had a School of Rock show too.
Yeah,
like
they did.
that was bad. I mean, I guess we could lump this into, but there was a really good period of time where they aired Power Rangers on Nickelodeon.
Oh, I forgot! I forgot about that! I forgot! No, I forgot about that.
Listen, Samurai. As much as Samurai's not that great, and hindsight, I will say it was cool. It was cool seeing it. Like, I think as a kid, you're not really thinking about it. Samurai's not bad, but compared to all the other Power Ranger shows, it's just like, eh. Like, Mega Force was bad, but
Oh, yes, absolutely.
but like, but that was still really cool. I mean, the thing is, like, Nickelodeon, I don't really associate with, like, I guess compared to Cartoon Network, it had. I think the only reason why I would say it would have had better live action stuff is because I think there was a lot more. They did a lot more live action stuff compared to Cartoon Network. And look, I don't like the guy, but look, Dan Schneider and Schneider's Bakery, like, without that show, we wouldn't have gotten like shows like Drake and Josh, iCarly, Victorious. Again, I'm not saying I like the guy. I'm not saying the ethics behind the scenes. No, again, we're gonna talk about that tomorrow, but it's kind of no. I will say this: the shows do not hold up well today. Some of them do not. Like, some of the humor is very cringe, and knowing what happens, it's very hard to watch. But I won't let that kind of take away from like the positive memories I had as a kid. So,
Alrighty, are we ready to move on? All right, so
Yes.
let's go ahead and move on. It's surprised we're already an hour in, and we're already at the third category, which is Nickelodeon blocks. For me, I can go as far as back as there's so many blocks I remember watching. Of course, Saturday nights you had Snick. I don't know if anybody knows about Snick. Like, that included shows like All That, Kenan and Kel, Are You Afraid of the Dark, Kablam. I think a little bit of Ren and Stimpy too. But I remember watching that every Saturday night. There was, I remember Nick at Night. That's what I remember watching, like a lot of old shows. I remember watching, of course, there was Bewitched. There was I Dream of Jeannie. There was the I Love Lucy show. I remember watching Mr. Ed, the talking horse. I remember watching that with my grandma before. So, of course, there was also Nick in the Afternoon with, I don't know if anybody knows about, probably not. But it's like Stickly with Nick in the Afternoon. I remember that after schools. I don't think anyone knows what the fuck I'm talking about, though. Shocker, I know. And then, of course, you have Nick Jr., which I did watch some of Nick Jr. mainly when I was a lot of it was when me and my older brother were babysitting this guy right here. So, but I remember me and our older brother, we would be babysitting him, and we would have Nick Jr. on for him, kind of thing. So, but I'll let him discuss it because I know he wants to talk about it. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I got. So, if I think of anything else, I'll let you guys know.
I go. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah. In terms of like the blocks, obviously I remember Nick Jr. like like watching like Blue's Clues and stuff like that. But yeah, Nick Jr. was like probably a big one that I remember. Obviously, there's like other stuff that like I kind of sort of remember. I remember Nick at Night. Like I remember watching like I think like Family Matters was on there. I remember the George Lopez show was on there. That was one I watched like a lot. I don't know why. Like I just found it funny. But yeah, that was a big one. Nick Jr., Nick at Night. I know. I never watched Snick. I think that was that was before my time. What else is there? Honestly, nothing else is really coming to me. Like I like Teen Nick. Like that's where like pretty much a bunch of the live action sitcom shows were at. But yeah, there's not really a ton. Nothing really. I do remember Gas, Nick Gas. That was like Game and Sports that had like Double Dare, Guts, that kind of thing. I remember watching a couple. I definitely remember watching Double Dare 2000. I love Double Dare 2000. That didn't have Mark Summers. That had somebody else. I forget what the guy's name was, but
Okay.
Double Dare
We'll-
2000.
Okay. Yeah, we'll talk about like
Yeah,
game
obviously.
shows like later.
But yeah, Gas, Nick Jr., Teen Nick, and Nick at Night were the big ones I watched. But yeah, there wasn't a ton, but kind of it. Nothing really of note. But yeah, I watched some shows that were on there.
All right. Devin?
So when it comes to the Nick blocks, I remember. I don't think I was around for Snick. Nick and Knight, I remember the channel. But Nick Jr., obviously, that's the big one for me. I watched a lot of Nick Jr. Blue's Clues was my shit. Absolutely lived, breathed, worshipped that show. I had all the VHS tapes. I had the notebook. I even had the thinking chair. Steve was my boy. I watched the Steve Goes to College episode as it aired. I went to Blue's Clues Live. I loved Joe. I will not tolerate any Joe slander in this house.
Yes, is Steve better? Of course, but don't shit on Joe. Joe didn't do anything wrong. He was
awesome.
good too.
I love
Yeah,
Joe
he
was
offered
awesome.
something different. Fuck you.
I thought the intro with Joe was more like, sporadic. I mean, nothing beats the intro with Steve, but the intro with Joe, it was more like,
Chapter 3, 1, 2, 3, and clap your hands, there's something new, join our Blue's Clues band today. But yeah, Blue's Clues is my shit. I remember watching Dora, I remember watching Little Bear, Little Bill.
Oof.
Controversy
Speaking
aside.
of problematic, but that was before that.
I watched a little bit of Wonder Pets. I think I watched a little bit of Backyardigans. And I'm gonna pull this up. We're talking about blocks, and we're talking about Nick Jr. I gotta give mention to this guy. Face. This thing was awesome. Earlier bumpers were creepy, yes, but he was awesome. He was hilarious. He was always on my Blue's Clues VHS tapes, and even better, he is voiced by the super duper underrated and talented Chris Phillips. Like, that dude could do so many different voices, and it worked. Face was awesome. I loved him. But yeah, as far as like blocks go, it was mainly just Nick Jr. for me. And I'm still yeah. Hopefully I can get my nephew into Blue's Clues once he gets a little bit older, once he hits the toddler stage.
Okay. Jay?
So just curious. Oh, by the way, this is unfortunately I have to leave after my segment. But
Okay.
what is a block like? What is that? Just so that I know, so that I can.
It's talking about like different like it's within the same channel, but it's like different sections. Like there's different kinds. It's like, of course, Nick Jr. came on like during the weekdays, like during school hours. There was of course, there was Nick at Night, which came on like after dark. Like those kinds of shows. Snick came on Saturday nights, although I'm probably the only one here that remembers that.
Here's the thing. I probably watched it, but I had no recollection of watching it because it ended in 2005. So I probably maybe caught like something, but I don't know for sure. But I mean, I was aware of it, but I don't know if I.
But Jay, it's like different categories or something.
Okay,
within
a certain time, like from like, for instance, Snick was like 8 to like 9:30, and it would air like 4 or 5 shows in that block. Like it was like a themed thing of like, okay, this is Nick on Saturday night, so Snick. And then Nick at Night.
And then
Nick at Night is, I think, after like 7 Nick Jr. is the stuff for kids. And
That
then
that
there's
came on like during school hours. Yeah.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
there's
so
like some
since you
other
mentioned
stuff.
that, so yeah, I think Nick, like as far as Nick blocks, like I remember watching a lot of Nick Jr. at my grandma's house a lot. Like I used to remember, like I said before, like Dora, Go Diego Go, Backyardigans, Blue's Clues. I cried when Steve left. You don't know how much that video a couple of years ago meant to me, man. That video hit me right. That video hit me right here. I remember Nick at Night, but I never watched anything from Nick at Night. Like I knew once George Lopez came on, I turned off the TV because I was up way too late.
Poor George Lopez.
I used to play. I remember they used to also play like Everybody Loves Raymond or something. Yeah. What else? I mean, yeah. I mean, Blue's Clues. Like I used to love Blue's Clues a lot. Teen Nick. I remember Teen Nick a lot. I forgot to mention a show that they actually used to play on Teen Nick was Degrassi. I mean, they used to play Degrassi on Teen Nick. I don't know if it was owned by Nickelodeon, but they used to show Degrassi. I don't know if anybody here knows what Degrassi is, but yeah, I remember. I remember like Nick Cannon at a certain point in time, like with like I think he like owned like a subsection of like Teen Nick, or I think. But so they would always like he was like the spokesperson or like the mascot of Teen Nick. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Alrighty. Ben.
I have a little bit of memory of watching Snick.
Okay.
I remember Nick at Night, but don't remember watching anything from it. Nick Jr. That's where the block I remember. Shows like Franklin.
That's another
Little
one.
Bear, and of course Blue's Clues. That shaped my that was the beginning of Nickelodeon that shaped my childhood. I know I said that Nickelodeon shaped my childhood, but this was the starter point of it. And I feel like I had a great honor of meeting Steve Burns last year.
You lucky, lucky man.
Thank you.
All right.
So as far as Nick blocks, there's really only two in particular that I really remember. Like, I really only remember Nick at Night and Nick Jr. But that's really because with Nick Jr., I watched a lot of when I was a kid. Like, Blue's Clues was my jam. And I agree with what everybody said. I don't want to tolerate Joe slander because Joe was cool. Yes.
I'm sick of any type of Joe slander. Blue's Clues Joe, Grandpa Joe. We don't tolerate Joe slander in this household.
Fact.
Damn straight.
Love the orange. I love the orange shirt.
Yes, I agree. Backyardigans, that's another like kid show that I was like, oh shit, like that was kind of my jam. Wonder Pets, elite. Like, come on, like the cleanup song. Oh my god, oh man, that was my jam. Dora the Explorer, Go Diego Go. Look, I didn't understand what was going on. Like, granted, I'm bad at like Spanish. I tried to take Spanish in high school, but god damn it, that show ruled. Then you had Max and Ruby. That's another.
Yeah, Max and Ruby. That's another one.
God, that was a good show.
Apparently, Max had autism.
I did not know that. Interesting. Anyway, like that, and then you got like Nick at Night, which Nick at Night was good too. Like, but this is like during the later stages though. So like during my time, like a lot of it was just Friends reruns. Like My Wife and Kids. I think George Lopez would run like towards the end of it, where it's like from like 6 a.m. But I had a lot of fun memories with Nick at Night too. I mean, that there's probably other blocks that maybe I'll probably remember at some point, but those are really the only two that I remember.
Okay. Alrighty. Is that it for blocks? Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been real. I have to go.
Okay.
Thank you, Rob, for bringing me on. It was nice
Oh, you're welcome.
listening on Nickelodeon. I will try to see if I am around for tomorrow's stream, but no.
All right. Take it easy,
Later,
man. There, Jay. All right. Okay, so now that we're done with the blocks, we will go ahead and discuss. And I think that I'm so glad that John mentioned Double Dare because I thought I was going to be the only one here talking about game shows.
To be fair,
Yes.
it's the 2000 version, not the OG version. I apologize.
Well,
That was
I mean,
before my time.
that's fine. Well, I mean, that's fine. At least you mentioned something. Because I thought I was going to be the only one talking about it. So, because I don't know if there's any game shows airing now or in the 2000s or 2010s or I don't know. But I remember for me game shows that I remember watching. Of course, there was the OG Double Dare. There was Legends of the Hidden Temple. For some reason, no kid could figure out how to put together the Silver Monkey puzzle together. Nick Arcade, that was a lot of fun. The Guts, I don't think does any Wild and Crazy Kids. Oh, my fiance would kill me if I didn't bring this up. What would you do? It's by the host, the same host who did Double Dare.
For a Klondike bar?
Mark Summers. I told you I was wrong. I figured that some of you wouldn't know what the fuck I was talking about. But Devin, this is what happens when you and I are two different generations.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember watching What Would You Do? It's like something where you come down, you're having to do a task. You're either the winner gets a prize and the loser gets pied in the face, kind of thing. So, yeah, and like I said, Guts, which was actually pretty much just like, which I guess you could say is like Gladiator for kids. That's practically what Guts is. And like I said, I mentioned Legends of the Hidden Temple. The Nick Arcade was a lot of fun. So, John?
The only one I really remember watching was Double Dare 2000, which ironically didn't even last very long because I'm looking at it aired in 2000 and that's it. It aired for less than a year, which is strange because I remember watching that like a lot. Probably the reruns, but it was weird because the reruns of the original never showed up, but the Double Dare 2000 that got a ton of airing. I don't know, maybe it was Mark Summers because he was like a germaphobe and hated the slime and all that. So I don't know. But I remember watching maybe a couple episodes of like Guts, but didn't really watch that a ton. It was mainly Double Dare 2000, and that's kind of it. I don't really remember watching a ton of game shows on Nickelodeon. It was just that one. And that's kind of it. Maybe I'm sure like because I'm looking at the titles and nothing is ringing a bell. But I'm sure if like I saw a clip or like someone mentioned to me the premise, I'd be like, oh yeah, I remember watching that. But Double Dare 2000 is the only one that like comes to mind that I remember actively watching. So that's kind of it. But maybe if somebody says something else, they'll unlock a core memory or something. But that's it.
I don't remember watching. What was the game show where the people got slimed?
People that got slimed.
I think on Double Dare.
They got on Double Dare. Oh, I just thought of another game show. Figure It Out? No? Just okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and I do remember watching Legends of the Hidden Temple. That was another one I do remember watching reruns of. That was a big one. I loved Legends of the Hidden Temple. That was great.
Yeah. But the ones that
I think I only watched the one where the people got slimed. That is
I'm
it.
guessing. I'm guessing it's a Double Dare because I'm thinking either Double Dare or Figure It Out.
One team was dressed in blue and the other was dressed in red.
Yeah, Double Dare. That's Double Dare.
Yep.
Ben?
I don't really have that much memory of watching game shows. Maybe if like John said, maybe if you showed me something, only mainly the names come to mind, but not the show itself. So,
Yeah.
like John said, maybe if you showed me a clip, that would ring a bell or something. I don't know. Maybe I've seen a little bit of Figure It Out or what's the other one called? The one
Which one? Which one?
it was either Figure It Out or
Legends of the Hidden
Double
Temple?
Dare.
Okay.
Double Dare. Okay, gotcha.
Something like that.
Okay. Well, Austin.
I'm gonna be honest. I have no. I genuinely don't remember any of these game shows.
I gotcha. I mean, I kind of figured I was going to be the only one talking about it since, I mean, you guys already know that I was raised. A lot of these game shows pretty much happened in the '90s, and you guys know that I was a '90s kid. So
Yeah, there weren't a ton of
So was
game
I.
shows in my era. There were a couple, but it was mainly the live action sitcoms were the big bread and butter of. I mean, yes, there were cartoons, yes, but the live in terms of live action, it was the sitcoms rather than the game shows. There was very little game shows I remember. I maybe watched like a couple of them, maybe Brain Surge, but even then, My Family's Got Guts, Scaredy Camp, Robot Wars. Those were the ones that they were on when I was younger, and I couldn't tell you if they were.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So, all right. So I guess when we're done talking about game shows, now since we are a movie reviewing channel, we have to talk about the Nickelodeon movies. Let's see here. The very first Nickelodeon movie I remember seeing was actually the first one that was actually produced by Nickelodeon. I don't know if any of you have seen this movie, Harriet the Spy. Has anybody seen that?
I have vague memories of it.
Yeah,
I maybe caught it later on.
Yeah, I remember watching. Of course, I remember when I was a kid. I remember watching Harriet the Spy. I remember watching. I do remember watching Good Burger. I remember watching. I remember my aunt. Hang on. Shit. I remember my aunt actually took me to see the very first Rugrats movie in theaters. So the one
I remember seeing one of the Rugrats movies. I don't know which one. Maybe it was Rugrats in Paris. I don't remember.
I mean, I remember seeing the first one in theaters. I remember seeing the one where they go to Paris. I didn't see the one in Paris. The one where they go to Paris. I didn't see that in theaters, but I did remember renting that one. And Rugrats Gone Wild was the only one I still haven't seen because that was like right when I was out of my Rugrats phase by that point. Let's see here. What else? I got to think on what else because I know back in the day, Nickelodeon promoted the hell out of their movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they definitely did. Shit. I think Ben wants. I know that of course there was the SpongeBob movie. I remember seeing the first one in theaters. I remember renting the second one. It was all right. I haven't seen the third one yet, but I guess it's not very good according to Zach. So I'm trying to think. Is there some other ones I'm missing? The lesser said about some of the shitty Nickelodeon movies, the better. So, do you want to go next, John?
Yeah, sure. I'll mention. Are we mentioning TV movies as well, or are we just mentioning?
Yeah, you can mention TV movies as well.
Okay, so the ones I remember watching, I remember like later on, I remember watching Good Burger. I thought it was like terrible. Even as a kid, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I have vague memories of the original Rugrats movie. I have more memories of Rugrats in Paris. That was the big one. Because that was the one where Chucky's dad got married, right? That was
the one where you got Chucky's dad got married and we're introduced to Chucky's stepsister.
Yes.
Kimmy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the one. Yeah. Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. That was a big one. I loved that movie so
I
much.
forgot about that.
That was great. I remember seeing Clock Stoppers in theaters. I thought it was like the coolest fucking thing ever. Yet my sisters absolutely fucking abhorred it with every fiber of their being, and they still make fun of me for liking that movie.
I remember my aunt actually. That was another movie I forgot to mention it. My aunt took me to see me and Ben to see Clock Stoppers. So I remember that.
Hey Arnold the movie. That one was that. Which one was that? Because I
That's
remember
the
Hey
one,
Arnold had a couple of movies.
Like that was the one where, I mean, I guess if we're talking about the one that was released in theaters, it was the one where their town was going to be, their neighborhood was going to be demolished and all, and they were doing everything.
I have
to save.
vague memories of that.
Because the other Hey Arnold movie was the Jungle movie that was released a few years ago.
I remember Rugrats
awesome.
Go Wild because that was a crossover with the Wild Thornberrys. And that was the one with like I think it was like Smell-O-Vision, where they give you like this card and you scratch and sniff, and it was like a whole thing. I think that was the movie that was that movie. Of course, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, fucking excellent. Love that movie. Still love it to this day. I thought that was like one of the first movies that made me cry. That was a lot of memories with that one. I remember
SpongeBob and Patrick die.
Yeah, and I'm like, why would you do this to me? What the fuck is wrong with you? I remember the original A Series of Unfortunate Events. I remember watching that in the theater. I remember even as a kid, I thought that was fucking terrible. Yeah, my sister who loved the books fucking hated it because it was not a good movie. I feel like it did nail the vibe of the books more once I actually read them, but yeah, that was a terrible one. Yours, Mine, and Ours, fucking terrible. Barnyard was good. I liked Barnyard. That was fun. I liked both. I remember I have more memories of watching the show, but I did love the movie. Spiderwick Chronicles was trash. My friend forced me to watch Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging recently, and that was fucking trash. I remember Hotel for Dogs being marketed a lot, but I didn't end up watching it. Last Airbender. Less said about that, the better. I watched Rango recently. That is a fucking acid trip of a fucking movie. That is.
I actually remember.
That's all.
I remember watching that with my fiance before. Like we were watching Rango, so it's really awesome.
Holy shit! I didn't realize The Adventures of Tintin was technically a Nickelodeon movie. Okay, sure, that was excellent. That's one of my favorite movies. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: Spiderwick Chronicles. If you've never read the books, you might like it. But I literally read the books to be prepared to watch the movie, and it was nothing like the books, and it was like a sanitized, empty version of the books. And then pretty much after that, I didn't watch any of the like movies that were the big theatrically released after that, because then it's Fun Size, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, live action movies.
Don't even get me started on those pieces of shit.
Never watched Sponge Out of Water or Monster Trucks. Although I did hear Dora and the Lost City of Gold was good. I did hear that was good, surprisingly.
Yeah.
And then Paw Patrol, Zoe 102, which was apparently really bad. Good Burger 2 sucked. So yeah, but in terms of TV movies, I remember watching a couple of those. I remember watching like a lot of like the big specials, like the Drake and Josh where they go to Hollywood, or the series finale of Ned's Declassified, the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour movies. Those were fucking great. I love those movies. What else was there? There was, yeah, it was mainly whenever there was like a big like, oh my god, like either it was a series finale or it was like just like a mid show special. Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh, iCarly, I Go to Japan, Channel Chasers, aka How Fairly Odd Parents Should Have Ended, Nickelodeon, just saying. But yeah, like stuff like that. I remember watching Shredder Man with Devin Workhauser. That was fun. I remember watching that. But yeah, the Big Time movie. I watched a couple of the Fred movies. I think I watched the first two. I have vague memories. I don't know why, but I have vague memories. I thought the Jungle movie, Hey Arnold, the Jungle movie, I thought that came out way earlier. Because I remember that being like announced or something, and I have vague memories of like his parents were like, died in like the jungle or something, and then he, I remember watching that. I remember rumors about. I remember something, but it turns out it wasn't a thing until like I don't know about like 5, 6, 7 years ago. I'm like, well, what happened? I remember watching that as a kid.
I think what you're thinking of is there was an episode that pretty much was like a two-parter. It was called the Journal. I think you might be thinking
Maybe
that.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then the Jungle movie is like an expansion on that episode.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of because I distinctly remember that. I distinctly remember like that like vibe. But yeah, I mean I didn't watch like a ton of them, but I remember like vaguely watching like technically the series finale of Devin left. The series finale of Avatar. Like a lot of series finales were TV movies. So if those count, then I watched a couple of those. But yeah, those they were always fun to watch, whether they were whether they were original or they were like attached to a show and it was like a big special. But yeah, fun stuff. But yeah, Devin, you go next.
When it comes to the Nickelodeon movies, they're kind of like hit or miss for me. So haven't seen Clockstoppers, haven't seen Good Burger, haven't seen Harriet the Spy. I think I might have watched the first Rugrats movie. I might have watched Rugrats in Paris. I've seen Rugrats Go Wild. Jimmy Neutron, Boy Genius. I would watch that movie all the time on VHS. I watched a little bit of the Hey Arnold movie. I had the Wild Thornberrys movie on VHS. SpongeBob movie, the first one, is still awesome. Especially when one of the scenes has a fucking Pantera song playing in the background. Like, all right.
I was just say, don't forget Devin. I'm a goofy goober.
All bubble blowing babies will be beaten senseless by every patron in the bar. Lemony Snicket's a series of unfortunate events. I haven't read the books. That movie is bad. Nacho Libre, mediocre. Barnyard, bad. I didn't see the live action Charlotte's Web. I didn't see Spider-Boy Chronicles. Hotel for Dogs was terrible. Last Airbender is Last Airbender. I remember really enjoying Rango. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I haven't seen Adventures of Tintin. I haven't seen the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles movies. I haven't seen the SpongeBob sequels. Or the Dora movie. The Jungle movie is... Hey Arnold, the Jungle movie is fucking awesome. And I'm sure Rob here will absolutely agree that was a perfect finale. There was a Blue's Clues movie. It's not Blue's Big Adventure. It was Blue's Big Musical Movie. I had that on VHS. I loved that movie. Loved it. And Paws of Fury, apparently that's a Nickelodeon movie. I haven't seen that shit. I know Rob suffered through it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. I'm not a big TMNT guy, and I was the most positive one in that review.
I mean, as I said in that review, if you're not a TMNT fan, you'll probably enjoy it more. But if you are a TMNT fan, you will have issues. So, I mean, that's why I didn't love it nearly as much as everyone did. So, but anyway, Ben.
Yeah, like Devin said, the Nickelodeon movies range from a category from hit or miss to haven't seen. Like I did like the first Rugrats movie, the first SpongeBob movie, Clock Stoppers. But I didn't like the Last Air. I don't remember much of the Last Airbender. Come to think of it,
Good on you.
Yeah, you're lucky.
and I didn't like any of the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles movies. I definitely the Fred the movie was a bag of dicks.
Oh yeah, Fred the movie was fucking terrible. I didn't see the sequels. Never will.
Yes.
Good thing I never saw, and I never saw any of the movies or the show.
You were lucky.
So, well, keep in mind, Fred came out after my time.
What else is there? Yeah, I remember one thing. One Nickelodeon movie that has kind of a story is a series of unfortunate events. Because I remember the trailer for the movie came out, and I saw that it had Jim Carrey in it, and I was a huge Jim Carrey fan. And soon afterwards, Mom told me that it was based on books. So I immediately went to Barnes and Nobles and got some of the books and read them.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And that's why. So Jim Carrey was the reason I wanted to see that movie because I was a huge Jim Carrey fan.
Yeah, I would say anybody who wants a good series of unfortunate events adaptation, watch the Netflix show because that was.
I was gonna say, Ben and I we watched the Netflix show when it came out. So.
Yeah, Robert had a question for me about the books.
Huh?
If Mr. Poe was that stupid.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Not to change the subject.
That's fine. That's fine.
Anywho, there's some like I said, there's still some I haven't seen. Like I haven't seen Nacho Libre. I haven't seen the third Rugrats movie. I haven't seen just a lot I haven't seen. So to me, it's kind of hit, miss, or haven't seen.
Okay. Austin?
When it comes to the Nickelodeon movies, again, kind of like the game shows, I don't have that much of a connection with the films. I'm very much like only really a handful. The SpongeBob movie in particular, I think is just awesome. I mean, good God. I mean, of course, you have the meme of bald, 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 my eyes, my eyes. And then, of course, the Goofy Goober, and like they're in the bar and they're drinking, like they're eating ice cream, and it's like alcohol, which I thought was really funny. The second one's not even that bad. Like the second one's fun, but I feel like it is kind of misleading though, because it's like
the marketing pretty much lies to you.
Yeah.
For the second one, because they advertise it as like a live action SpongeBob, and that live action shit doesn't happen until the very end of the movie.
Yeah, but I will admit, like the Mad Max stuff at the beginning, because they ran out of crab patties. I thought that was kind of funny. Like it turned into the apocalypse. But the third one's bad. I will admit the third one is horrible. The Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies are bad. Again, I'll put that on that. The Last Airbender movie is garbage. Mr. Channel, you know what you did. Then you got Jimmy Neutron movie is great. Again, it birthed us our Lord and Savior Carl Weezer. Again, we must pray to our Lord and Savior Carl Weezer and Hugh Neutron. I pray to the ducks.
I was gonna say Oh, I was gonna say you can't go wrong with Rob Paulson.
No, you cannot.
I miss his neutron.
Oh, I miss his new turn. He got the croissant. The croissant.
I like llamas.
The llama. Barnyard wasn't bad. I'm trying to think what else. Apparently, The Adventures of Tintin was a Nickelodeon movie.
Yeah, I was surprised. That was
Yeah,
good shit.
It
This
was.
is some serious gourmet shit.
It was good.
That's probably the best Nickelodeon movie in all honesty.
Probably. The good burger movie again. It was good. They had I genuinely forgot about this Nacho Libre. The movie's not great, but as like as someone of a wrestling fan, I can at least admit it. Like it's stupid, but it's I could laugh at it. It's not one of those like really really bad movies. It's like it's like I could take it or leave it. Oh, what else? Apparently, they did a Charlotte's Web movie, a live action Charlotte's Web movie. That sounds, Rango. Oh my god! Again, like Nickelodeon did Rango. No.
Yeah.
What the hell? Well, what is this? Why are we letting them cook? We gotta stop letting them cook because now they're doing too much. They're doing too much. Stick to your lane here, guys. We all know that we all know. Listen, it's okay. You don't have to pretend anymore. You don't have to pretend that you want to try. We get it. You got all that SpongeBob money and you don't want to try anymore. You don't gotta pretend. You don't gotta pretend that you have creativity anymore because you don't. The Rugrats movie. I forgot about the Rugrats movies too. Shit. God. Yeah.
Rob is like, you forgot about the Rugrats movies.
even though I've only seen 2 out of the 3. How dare I?
Like Rugrats Go Wild. I thought that was a fun thing. Plus, it's got Wild Thornberrys, and Wild Thornberrys is always a win because it has Tim Curry and Danielle Harris. Always a win.
And Flea.
Oh yeah, Flea. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Flea for the Red Hot Chili Peppers is Donnie.
I mean, all that other stuff.
Plate?
Other than that, like I don't really have a lot of connection to a lot of these movies, other than like surprisingly quite a few of them, but just not as popular for me as like the shows.
Gotcha. All right, so I guess we're down to our last category, and I guess this will be pretty much miscellaneous. This is pretty much anything we didn't cover, anything extra that we want to talk about before we wrap it up.
About my Flash games.
Yes. The click of my jigs. The click of my jigs.
All right. So anyway, in terms of like other things, I remember a lot of Nickelodeon toys growing up. Of course, there was like I don't think anyone knows about Flash Screen, that little green screen thing, and you just like flash something like it glows in the dark kind of thing. It was kind of cool. There was I remember watching I remember the Nickelodeon magazines, getting them in the mail every month.
Do you remember
Nickelodeon magazine, please?
Yep.
I don't know if it was Nickelodeon or not. I do remember Nick Magazine. I remember getting Nick Magazine.
I did too.
But do you remember there used to be like a small, I think it was like general pop culture. I don't think it was Nickelodeon, where it was like smaller. It was about the size of like a Reader's Digest, but it was like small and it was like a pop culture magazine for kids. And I had it for a long time. I could never remember, and I remember like reading it religiously. I would always get it. It was great. And I could never fucking remember. It might have been Disney related, but I remember like reading that, and it had a lot of like Nick stuff in it. Again, it was like pop culture kids stuff. And I could not fucking tell you what the name of it was, but I remember reading that religiously. But yeah, just sorry, it unlocked a core memory, so I thought I'd mention.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Of course, I also remember the different Nickelodeon commercials. I remember the promo and the bumpers. the Nick,
Nickelodeon.
those kinds of bumpers and all. I'm trying to think on what else there is. I mean, I pretty much. Is there anything else I probably didn't cover that one of you want to bring up?
Flash games on Nick.com. I remember
Yes.
Kids'
playing
Choice
those.
Awards.
I remember. Oh my god. I don't know why. I remember playing a lot of them, but like I don't know why. But the Mr. Meaty games were like. I remember it. There were two games. I don't know why I remember these two specifically. There was like a general Nick game where it was like you could go like get like tickets and like have like your room and you could like pay for stuff in the game and like I forget what it was called, but it was like Nick. It was all Nick related. But then there was the Mr. Meaty games. One of them was you go fishing in the deep fryer and like you take control of the fish hook, which was a paperclip, and you would try to find like treasures, and like there was like normal stuff like nuggets and fries, but those didn't like have a lot of points. But then there was like dirty socks, like spit wads, like weird monsters and bugs. There was like I think like poop in there or something. It was ridiculous. It was Mr. Meaty. Like what do you expect? And then there was the sausage log game where it was like you had to make sausage logs and like you put like you put like various toppings on it and you get it like oh this one it was like cherries, whipped cream, relish, mustard, chocolate sauce, caramel sauce, ketchup, mustard. It was ridiculous. And then like sometimes monsters would like try to grab the sausage log, so you would smack it, and if people wanted monster shit on their sausage then they would get it. Again, really weirdly specific. I remember playing all of these, and I remember playing some like Drake and Josh games. I remember Ned's Declassified games. I remember I remember a lot of those. Those were so fucking. And you know what else? I apologize for going slightly off topic. I didn't bring this up during the cartoon. I don't think I brought this up during the Cartoon Network stream, but I'm bringing it up now. Fusion Fall. That shit was fucking amazing. I love that. Anyway, I know that's not Nickelodeon related, but I didn't bring that up during Cartoon Network. But yeah, I love the Nickelodeon games. I remember all three of them: Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, and Nickelodeon. All of them had great, amazing Flash games that I remember playing to death way back when. Good shit. Devin, why do you look so angry?
Devin? Is he frozen?
Oh, he's frozen.
Shit, we need. Fuck. You know what?
Mad.
You know what I'll do is like when I go back and play, I'll screenshot the face and send it to the chat.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, while Devin's fixing his technical difficulties, Ben, do you have anything we didn't bring up?
Well, I was saying the Kids' Choice Awards.
Oh yeah.
Which is pretty much the Oscars in Nickelodeon style, like except the movies that are nominated are the more popular ones.
Well, it's not just movies; they also talk about like music.
Everything that's
sports.
popular.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else, Ben?
What
that
else
you want to
can I
bring
think
up?
of? I remember the games on Nick.com and the Clickamajigs.
Okay.
Yep. Hey, I'll throw my hat in. I love the Clickamajigs.
There was a Fairly Odd Parents game I remember where you have to go through the game that he wished for.
That reminds me. I also remember the actual games like for consoles. Like Nicktoons Unite and Battle for Volcano Island, Battle for Bikini Bottom. I remember playing Nicktoons Unite. Nicktoons Unite fucking pissed me the fuck off. I couldn't get like past like one part of the game, and then I would always replay it in hopes I would get it, but then I never could. I might go back to it now.
Yeah, one Nickelodeon game that I actually still have to this day. Nickelodeon All-Star Sprawl.
Because that's
Switch.
a newer game.
Yeah.
I want to say like some of the Clickamajigs I remember playing a lot of. Howie Your Punch Bowl was a fun one. Bully the Bully. Nicked the Nutcrackers, Nutcracker versus the Sugar Plum Fairies. And let's bring on the childhood trauma, guys. Black Licorice.
Yes.
Black
Freak me the fuck
licorice?
out.
I don't like black licorice. That game never scared me, but I always thought it was hilarious. Rob, have you ever played that game?
I think I played a little bit of it with Ben, because I know what you're talking about.
Drew and I loved those games. Well, honestly, I'll still play Bully the Bully just for fun. Mean spirited, but funny as fuck.
Good thing Zach isn't on here.
Oh,
All right. Okay, Austin?
Like the Kids' Choice Awards, like I feel like that was a big thing. Like especially during like its heyday, right? Like it was like a big deal. I wouldn't say it's as much as a big deal now. Like now it's just kind of like under the radar, nobody really cares. But like back then it was a big deal. Like, yeah, maybe it was rigged a little bit, sure. But God, seeing the people get slimed, I mean that was really cool. When they had like the Flash games like on their site, like I remember like there was a few Power Rangers ones that were really cool. I think there was like some I don't remember them specifically, but I do remember there was like a there was like there was like ones later down the line where there was like one like sports related ones that were cool. But especially now as like a video game guy, I kind of want like we're talking about miscellaneous stuff like Nickelodeon like video games, like especially like when like beforehand, like they were really, really cool. Like SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, legendary game. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie, awesome. And in video game form, we got a crossover between SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom, and Jimmy Neutron. That was elite. You even had some like really cool like Fairly Odd Parents games too. Like when Nickelodeon like really was in their bag when it came to video games. Like lately, not so much, but now like oh my god, those games are so cool. As far as other than that, I don't really have much.
Okay. Okay. Is anything else anyone has to discuss before we wrap it up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Huh.
All right then.
Nickelodeon, great
No.
stuff. Well, nowadays it sucks, but back then
Okay.
it's great. It was great.
Yeah, these are our memories of everything Nickelodeon. So
It
we,
unlocked
we-
memories of Chalk Zone. I will forever be appreciative of this stream. I might go fucking watch it now. Wherever it is. It would be on Paramount Plus.
I would assume it'd be on Paramount Plus. So
But even then it's Chalk Zone. Nobody gives a fuck about Chalk Zone, so they probably don't even have it there. Ugh.
yeah, we can always check anyway. We can always check. But yeah, these are our memories of going down
It is on
Nickelodeon
Paramount
memory.
Plus. Yeah.
But yeah, we wanted to have a fun discussion. Like I said, this marks the 45th anniversary of Nickelodeon, and I wanted to do something fun to discuss before we go into some of the dark shit that has been revealed recently. Let me pull up movie cartoon fans to comment. Definitely my childhood network in the mainstream that wasn't. Yeah, Nickelodeon was my childhood network too. Movie cartoon fan. Mainly in the night. Like I said, grew up as a '90s kid. But anyway, have fun. I'll go back onto Bench Spike's Family. Oh yes, I want to see that movie. I think I'm the only person here that wants to see it. Insert your weeb joke here. Anyway, that's fine. That's fine. But anyway, we wanted to have a fun discussion. We wanted to just have a good old time because tomorrow it's going to be a different story. It's going to be rough.
The
because
calm before the storm.
yes, it is, because tomorrow we are going into some depressing shit. So stay tuned tomorrow night, and we will have serious discussions about the allocations, a lot of the shit that happened down at Nickelodeon. So
Let's just say
with
a lot of people were put in my graveyard list.
yeah, so yeah, stay tuned tomorrow night, and we will have a serious discussion on Quiet on Set. So, but yeah, so stay tuned for that. So, and until next time, take it easy.
Once again, we have brought light into the world. You're welcome, America.